Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to another video. As you know, we attack all things Senzo Meyiwa trial and we are back in court today. It's Monday the 20th of November, and as we left off last week, Sgt Mogola's cross-examination was put on hold just until Mr. Dupree can bring the simulations of the AVL reports. Now, before we get into today's proceedings, as you know, I'm not a legal expert. I'm not a legal advisor. I just speak all things court proceedings and I give my opinions. So let's get right into today's proceedings. So when the proceedings started, Baloyi just had two aspects to fix. Firstly, he let the court know that Mr. Dupree was done with the data with the AVL simulations, and he would be available on Thursday, the 23rd of November, 2023, to give us a report. Right? And the next thing was just a list of updated exhibits. He gave us that list and handed up those exhibits accordingly. He then called upon his next witness to take the stand, which is Sgt Mogola. She is witness number 101 on the witness list, and she will be testifying about exhibit TT1MMNN and briefly on exhibit FF, as well as photos on exhibit GG. Sgt Mogola took the stand, and as we all know, she started off by giving her career history. So she's basically been in the police service for 18 years. She joined in 2005. She gave us brief history on her work, and then she told us what were the events that happened on the 30th of May. She goes on to explain that she was assigned to a case, firstly in 2019, and in December she took the dockets, did further investigations, and a J50 warrant of arrest was issued against accused number 1. She then goes on to tell us that in 2020, on May the 30th, they received information with regards to the accused, and she then called Buthelezi of EMPD to assist her in apprehending the suspect. All this so far is in line with what Buthelezi has told us in court in his testimony as well. They then met in Tembisa on the 30th of May around 12 o'clock, and Buthelezi was with Sadiki, which is also in line with what Buthelezi told the court. And they then headed over to Tembisa to apprehend the suspect. Now, she says when they got there, Buthelezi and Sadiki left their vehicles while she basically did a U-turn and then also left her vehicle to arrest accused number 1. She then says that accused number 1 was with 2 other gentlemen, which is contradictory to what Buthelezi had told us, because Buthelezi said there were 2 gentlemen that were standing by when they approached them, and when the version of accused number 1 that there was actually 3 was put to him, he disagreed with the statement. However, today, Mogola is basically collaborating what accused number 1 said when he said there were actually 3 gentlemen, 3 including himself, when he was arrested. She then goes on to tell us that they asked accused number 1 where he stayed, and they requested him to tell them where he stayed, as this would be required for court, which is also not in line with what Buthelezi had said, because he said that the reason why they took accused number 1 to his house is because they needed to confirm identity. So we are already seeing contradictory statements here. Buthelezi had said they asked accused number 1 for his ID, and he said his ID is home, and that's the reason why they had to take him home. But today Mogola is saying the reason why they went home was to prove his residential address for bail application process. So she then goes on to explain that they got home. When they got home, he then just asked to change his trousers because his trousers were expensive and they had been messed up by the fact that the police made him lie down on the floor. And then she also goes on to say he then put on a pair of cavelas. Now, the question that I have for him, or I have in this case, is that how can he want to change his expensive trousers because he says the inmates would have wanted to steal them or what have you, and still put on expensive shoes? To me, it doesn't make sense, but that is what she says. And they then say that as they were searching his room for his ID, they then found some ammunition for a 9mm gun, and they then read him his rights and took him to Tembisa Vusimuzi hostel, where he said the gun for the ammunition that they found at his place was with his friend. This is when Baloyi asked that we adjourn for the tea break, and after the tea break, this is what went down. After the short adjournment, Baloyi continued to lead the witness Mogola with regards to photos on exhibit GG1, and she confirms that the outfit that accused number 1 is wearing on the photos is the outfit that he was wearing when he was arrested. And she then continues to explain the vehicle that she was traveling in, which is a Golf 7, red in color, which is in line with what accused number 1 had told, or the accused number 1's version. And also they then went on to lead the witness with regards to a confession that accused number 1 made and the officers that were involved. As we know, Mapumulo, Monareng, Sadiki, Buthelezi were all there. And then we were led into the evidence with regards to Umkulu, which was a traditional healer, which was apparently pointed out by accused number 1, by accused number 1. And she then tells us how the Mkulu was detained for questioning, and basically all the evidence with relation to the confession that accused number 1 made, as well as his relationship or relation with the traditional healer. So basically that was the evidence that was led just before lunch, and we then went on a lunch break. After lunch, we continued with the evidence of Mogola, whereby she puts on record a few of the entries in the OB books with regards to accused number 1 when they were booking him in and out for court and for further investigations. She then corrects a mistake in one of the OB books whereby they say accused was arrested for possession of a firearm, whereas he was actually arrested for drug dealing and possession of unlicensed ammunition. One of the things that were quite surprising to me is that she says on the 2nd of June, they booked out accused number 1 at 11:05, and it was Mohane who booked the accused out to do further investigations with regards to case number 217 of 3 of 2019. However, she only met up with them at 6 o'clock, which means they had a good 5 or 6 hours with the accused before meeting up with the investigating officer in Vosloorus for further investigation with regards to the firearm. Now, the funny thing about this is that when Buthelezi came to testify before the court, he alleged that they took this accused person to Vosloorus on the same day that he was arrested, which was the 30th of May. Contradictions. We then learned that the accused was meant to appear in court on the 8th of June, and his case was postponed to the 19th of June, and he was then asked to come back to court on the 30th of June. These case proceedings were all postponed due to COVID-19, according to Sgt Mogola. We then went into evidence with regards to accused number 2, whereby she says the first time she saw accused number 2 was in Pretoria North. Sgt Mogola had called her to conduct some questioning on the 17th of June, and she says that she knows that the accused was arrested on the 16th. Now, the funny thing about this is that she says she arrived there alone, and when she got there, she found Mogola and Mabena. Now, a police officer that travels alone, and remember, Ntanzi's version was that Kininda was there. I'm finding it hard to believe that Sgt Mogola traveled by herself to visit the accused in Pretoria North, but we shall see. They then had a meeting with him, and they arranged for to take him to his workplace to confirm where he was on the 26th of October 2014. She then says once the employment and whereabouts of accused number 2 were confirmed, herself and Kininda were said to leave together. But before they left, Kininda, Mogola, and Mabena had a long conversation with accused number 2 outside the vehicles. She was not part of the conversation. And if you remember, according to Mogola, Kininda had a conversation on his own with accused. So that is another contradiction right over there. Baloyi then puts the version of accused number 2 to the witness with regards to the assault that took place in her presence, and Baloyi was a bit confused as to the whereabouts of the assault. Mngomezulu, who is the defense for accused 1 and 2, then just wanted to clarify the facts of the version of accused number 2 and the locations in which the assault took place. There was a bit of an up and down with the defense and the state, but eventually the version was put through to the witness, and she denied any contribution to the assault. She denied being in the area where the assault took place, and they then questioned her about the BMW which was used at these locations. She blatantly denies having driven a BMW. However, she says she does currently drive a BMW. And the very surprising thing about this statement is that she says accused number 2 could have seen her driving a BMW and now is taking chances, which makes zero sense as accused number 2 was arrested in 2020. So how could he have known that she was driving a BMW? A white one, to be specific. It makes zero sense to me. I don't get it. But we will see how the proceedings proceed tomorrow. Baloyi then just said because of time, he will start at a new topic tomorrow with this witness, and hopefully we get into the cross-examination by the defense tomorrow as well. I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.